Hey everyone, welcome back to the Triathlon Weekly News Roundup presented by thefeed.com. Thank you so much for joining me for another recap of all the races that happened on the weekend, as well as the big headlines which have been coming in. And as always, there's some really good ones. I hope to bring this to you. Yesterday, I was racing a marathon on the weekend and I forgot how tough it is after you finish the marathon. Man, as well as doing it during the Berlin Marathon, where you realize Eliud Kipchoge ran about twice as fast as you. Pretty hard to recover, not only physically and mentally from that. But I do feel better now. Let's dive into those races that happened on the 270.3s, Augusta and Cozumel. Now, Augusta, we were super excited to see the rematch between Lionel Sanders and Jackson Laundry, but Mika Newt came in and stole the show. This young 23-year-old, I said last year we have to watch out for him, but he broke his leg at the beginning of April, the worst timing to do so. So we haven't seen him pretty much until now. We saw him a glimmer of what he was capable of at the Asian Open, but now it looks like his run is back to full form, and I can't wait to see what he does in 2024. But Jackson bested Lionel Sanders in their rematch, and at first Lionel said in his post-race interview that he will be racing Los Cabos as well as Indian Wells, but then his most recent post seemed like he might have changed his mind and might be working on a couple things instead. Then on the women's side, it was Paula Findlay for the women's win. Tamara Jewett was really chasing her down, as we've seen a lot before. Arrow Oates, my favorite triathlon newsletter, did a deep analysis of this. He always does some good data comparisons on his newsletter. Highly recommend checking that out. But then we also had the WTCS Grand Final, and it was epic. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go check out the highlights. Dorian Conix pulled off a miracle to win the World Series, kind of like Leo Berger did last year. They got away from Alex Yee and Hayden Wild, who were the favorites to win as well as win the World Series, and he puts himself in the hat as one of the favorites to win the Olympics, you'd have to say, next year, coming in as the defending world champion. Pierre Lecour books his spot at the Olympics next year, which means it will be Vincent Louis or Leo Berger who will not have a spot on that French team for the Olympics, which is quite crazy considering they're two of the best athletes in short course. Moving on to the women's side, and wow, is Beth Potter, who showed just how good she is right now. She has proved all those who doubted her wrong this year, having such a phenomenal season, going from winning the Paris Test event to now the Grand Final and becoming world champion. Cassandra Beaugrand, however, looked really good too. Just suffered with some cramps that we've seen her suffer with before, so we didn't get to see that really close battle we've been hoping for. But man, the depth of field at the top of short course right now on both the men's and the women's side is so good, and the dynamics are so good, and it's so hard to predict who's gonna win. I cannot wait for the Olympics next year. But we also had the Xterra World Championships, where Arthur Asari world title, as well as Selene Billon on the women's side. Those two really were dominant, and they had such a great season all season long. Yeah, unfortunately, Bradley Weiss, who I was really excited to see race this race, he crashed out on the bike and didn't get to feature, but I don't know if he would have been able to take on Arthur. He just looks so impressive on the men's side. It was such a beautiful course and destination beneath the Dolomites in Trentino, Italy. It really inspired me to want to go and race there at the World Champs for Xterra one day, even though I have almost zero mountain biking experience. It just looked like something epic to do. And I love the shot of Arthur's celebration at the end and immediately going to give his mom a big hug. That was just so heartwarming, and yeah, looked like a great race. But moving on from there, we're on to the headlines of the week, and the first big one is Super League is on. The city council voted the race could go ahead after last week I reported on the flood, which made Super League need to put in an alternative plan for a different course. Such a big race that raises a lot of money for charity. Can't wait. I have my tickets booked to go there, film a little bit for the RTS Warriors, and just go see what Super League's all about. I think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm going there, but a little bit, that you have to tune in for this one if you tune into any Super League race. We've got Leo Berger, we've got Hayden Wild, Alex Yee, Johnny Brownlee, Christian Blumenfeld, as well as on the women's side, we've got Beth Potter, we've got Cassandra Beaugrand, we've also got the two other winners of the Super League races this year, Kate Waugh and Jun Lahair. But we've now also got Ben Canute bolstering the RTS Warriors, well as Morgan Pearson, who's looking in such good form. So I cannot wait to go watch this race, and I'm gonna have a hard time filming because I think I'm just gonna be in such fan mode. But moving on to the second headline, and that is Jan for Dino. Now I reported on this last week saying it looked like he was gonna be racing. He has given us some clarification on that he will just be taking part in a social relay race there and will not be racing the full distance race. Just wanted to make sure I cleared that up. He will be doing his Scrail gravel race coming up in California, which, oh man, I so wish I was able to do that one and experience that. It looks pretty epic. But it seems like Jan's still enjoying retirement and definitely won't be coming out to race that Ironman Israel race. But moving on to number 3, and this one just came out today, Challenge North America, the first time since Challenge Miami back in 2021. It is going to be taking place in Quebec. It's going to be called the Sail Challenge Race and will take place in mid-July and has already received support from no other than Lionel Sanders himself and Paula Findlay, Canadian athletes who I'm sure will be racing there next year. Jort Flam, the CEO of Challenge Family, said just waiting for the right time and the right destination. And from all that I've seen, it looks like this will be the first of many future North American races for Challenge. So good to see triathlon expanding back into North America. Moving on from there, number 4, Gustav Eden. Looks like he's getting dialed in ahead of 2024 already. He posted that he was at the Silverstone Sports Engineering Hub, where we've seen a lot of professionals in the past. I thought he was trying out a new front end cockpit, but I went and checked the Asian Open race and it looked like he was already on this cockpit there. But it's interesting to see he's still on that same older Trinity Giant TT bike, which I know is still an extremely aero and fast bike, but still on rim brakes, which drummed up a lot of comments. I think my favorite comments though were from Sam Laidlow and Cameron Warf. Sam said, "Aero is cheating," to which Gustav responded, "Training is cheating, and let's do a talent world championships. No training from now on." I thought that was brilliant. I would totally watch that if everybody just came together with zero training. And then of course, Cameron Warf chimed in and said, "Like you need any help," which I think is a pretty fair point. But speaking of Cam Warf, he opened up on a Triathlon Hour podcast about why he might not have finished so high as we would have expected, because he suffered a bike crash at the latter stages of the descent in that race. He clearly is not a man for a lot of excuses because he didn't put it on his social media after the race. Can't believe he pulled off a marathon after a bike crash, but yeah, if anybody's gonna do it, it's Cam Warf. Then moving on from there, I just saw in an email from PTO that their first tour race of 2024 is announced. It will be the Asian Open again on the 13th and 14th of April. Here we go. We'll start seeing more and more races announced soon, as they said they will start to announce their full calendar in October. But before we dive into the hot take, video of the week, article of the week, and whatnot, I just wanted to say a huge shout out to Deborah, one of the big sponsors of this channel. With this wetsuit, I always just try to sneak a swim in whenever I can. It just gives me such joy to swim in this, and I actually just managed to complete finally swimming across the entire length of this lake right behind me. It was something I've always wanted to do since moving in, and yeah, I couldn't have done it if it wasn't for this suit. Like, it is seriously amazing. I feel like I'm Jan for Dino in this thing. Just the highest end wetsuit for a reason, and I really recommend checking it out on their website. You can use the code in my description to get a free duffel bag if you do pick up one of these. They're on clearance right now, and yeah, just so grateful for their support of the channel. But let's dive back into the video of the week. This week is a 360 video of Leon Chevalier at the Ironman World Championship Nice course. Now, it's a little bit late to be sharing this as the video of the week, but I just stumbled upon it and I thought, this is how I think preview videos should be done in the future. It's much better watched on your phone. You can see exactly what he's seeing as he's going down the descents of that Nice, and love to see this on the KONA course or some of the bigger courses, maybe even on the short courses as well. But then moving on from there to the article of the week, and this one I'm just giving to the entire website, tristats.com. Speaking of short course racing and the grand final that just happened, They do so many amazing articles with so much information, deep dives, and I've shared some articles of the week with them before. But yeah, there's so much you can learn about not only the grand final, but everything that's going on in short course racing. And yeah, it's just a brilliant website. Everything's free. Can't recommend it enough. To the humor of the week, and you know, oftentimes it's going to be from this guy who makes these memes because I just love him and get such a chuckle out of them. Do any of you feel this way, that this season has just started and now we've just blinked and it's over? I can't believe that we're starting to count down towards the end of the season. It literally feels like we've just blinked, and yeah, people are talking about ending their seasons already. Are you kidding me? Thank goodness we've still got KONA coming up and some other races like Super League. It's not over just yet, but man, it really has felt like we've blinked and the season has so many news headlines this year. I feel like more than ever, and yeah, I'm just so grateful you've tuned in with me almost every week. Thank you all. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next one.